The following is the incredible miracle story of Kfar Maimon on October 7th. Kfar Maimon is a religious settlement in southern Israel. We start with a testimony of Evyatar Atiyas from Moshav Shokeda, which is a settlement close by to Kfar Maimon. On Saturday morning, the 7th of October, I planned to go for a long run, leaving around 5:30 a.m. to make it to the synagogue for the holiday. However, a delay of about 15 minutes occurred, and if not for those 15 minutes, I would have been somewhere else after the run, possibly in the Tzir Netivot Techuma area, where people had already been killed. I don't usually run with a phone, but this time, equipped with my Apple Watch, I received a red alert notification. Realizing it was a red alert, I started running back, understanding that lying down was crucial to avoid getting hit by rockets falling from the sky. Taking refuge on an embankment by the side of the road, I received a panic call from my wife. She urged me to come home. I reassured her, explaining I was running towards Kfar Maimon, where there was a shelter. Once inside, I called the head of the security squad, who explained a likely terrorist infiltration. Ronan Cohen is the head of the security squad in Kfar Maimon. At 6:20 a.m., I woke up from the red alert. Recognizing it as an unusual event, I called my deputy and we headed towards the western side, identifying a fast-moving vehicle. I stood with my gun aimed at their car, shouting to them to identify themselves. They in turn shouted, "They shot at us! They shot at us!" Once we realized they were Jews, we allowed them in, discovering that their car was riddled with bullet holes. They explained an event nearby, with gunfire and people trying to escape. It dawned on us that we were in a crazy event. Gunshots, grenades, and sirens intensified, leading us to lock the shelter door. Despite attempts to make contact with the army, we received no response and chaos ensued. Jumping into action, I directed the security squad, controlled positions, and monitored patrols. During a moment when gunfire from a heavy vehicle became pronounced, I considered opening up, but the sight of terrorists circling the square deterred me. Attempts to reach our officer were futile, with no assistance available. Realizing we were on our own, I shouted, "We are alone, every bullet to the target." Vigilant and tense, we felt focused and sharp. I reached the point of saying my final prayers, detached from life but determined to fight until the end to save the settlement. After about a quarter of an hour, 2 helicopters arrived, facing intense fire. One managed to land and soldiers descended, but the second one was hit by an RPG. Shockingly, dozens of terrorists emerged, engaging in a fierce battle with the soldiers. Ultimately, the soldiers succeeded in eliminating 60 terrorists. The terrorists were likely planning to reach Kfar Maimon, aiming to take over our settlement within minutes. Thankfully, none entered, but the pilot and an officer were injured. The true miracle unfolded with the helicopters, averting a potentially disastrous outcome. I share this not to boast, but to highlight the greatness of God, emphasizing that there is one above who directs events. It was a series of miracles, not a random occurrence. It was a combination of things that if they hadn't all gone right, then I wouldn't have come home.